welcome everybody to the Select Board Candidates Forum. My name is Noah Beit-Aharon. I want to make note of the fact that we have 6 out of our 7 Select Board candidates today. Dawn Dino, unfortunately, could not make it today because she is getting over an illness. And so I want to make sure that you, the viewers, know that that is the reason she is not here and that you should not hold it against her or say, you know, how dare she come ill-prepared and not show up to the debate. Everybody gets sick sometimes. So with that having been said, why don't we introduce ourselves starting from my left. Ed, you want to start? Let's just introduce name and, if you want to, precinct or something.
Okay. Ed DeFelice, Precinct 6.
Lori Jakes, Precinct 3.
Robert Kirby, Precinct 6.
Mark Stankiewicz, Precinct 4.
Stephanie Carrara, Precinct 2.
Deborah Roberts, Precinct 6.
Thank you very much. And maybe I'll go in the opposite direction for my first question because it's a simple one. Who are you? And, why are you running for the Select Board seat?
Thank you very much, Noah, and thank you for inviting me here today. My name is Deborah Roberts. I'm a longtime resident of the town of Stoughton. I've lived here for 40 years. All of my 3 children went through the Stoughton public school system, and it's very important to me because I love Stoughton. I have a background in finance, and with all of the cuts on our budget coming from the state level and some federal, I want to give back to Stoughton. And this is the reason I'm asking you, the Stoughton's citizens of Stoughton, to vote to re-elect me to the Stoughton Select Board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Stephanie.
Again, thank you, Noah, for inviting me to this forum. My name is Stephanie Carrara, and I'm running for a seat on the Board of Selectmen. I have lived in Stoughton my whole life, all of 60 years. I have 28, going on 29 years of municipal experience. I'm very aware of budgeting. I also have my credentials for the town clerk. I am a certified municipal clerk. I am a master municipal clerk and a certified Massachusetts municipal clerk. I am very civic-minded, and I feel that we need to be more transparent on the select board, and also we need to care about our citizens. We cannot continue to tax and break the backs of our citizens, and I want to help that decrease. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Noah. My name is Mark Stankiewicz. I've been living in Stoughton for about 23 years. I've got about over 45 years of municipal experience. I've worked on the town and city level. I've been a town administrator. I've been a town manager. My last job was as a finance director for the city of Pawtucket, Rhode Island. I recently retired from the city in March of 2025. So I do have some available time. I think what I can bring to the table is a lot of experience from disparate areas. My main focus currently right now is the hot button issue of trash, and one of my goals would be is to ensure is that we have affordable, convenient, local trash service for our community. People really seem to love it. And other than that, I could go on, but that's the main focus for right now.
Thanks very much.
Hi, I'm Robert Kirby, and thank you, Noah, for having us all here. I'm a Stoughton resident of 25 years plus. I've been involved in serving the town for the last several years as a town meeting rep, and I've been involved in some other boards and committees through the Old Stoughton Musical Society and the Historical Society and that kind of thing. And I was looking to expand my service and impact in the town. And so I ran for select board last year. And on the behest of many people who said we we need someone to be a voice for the taxpayer, particularly elderly persons approach me quite often and said, what can we do? Taxes are always increasing. We live on a fixed income, and feel like no one's being a voice in the whole framework of the town. So I thought about it, and I decided to run, and it didn't work out last time, so I came back for another round. So I'm hoping to make an impact, not only for financial responsibility, but for also looking at the trend of kind of urbanization, where we have projects that have come into the town. For example, we have the Hebrew Life Center that, as initially proposed, would have been a 6-story, very unesthetically pleasing, in my opinion, project imposed in a residential area, in a green area, that just wouldn't have been a good fit. And so we put a pushback on that, and were able to actually get a resubmission of the proposal to cut that in half, so it was a little less aesthetically imposing. And so those are the kinds of projects I would want to put a stop to, or thwart, in a way that we put the priorities of the residents and the taxpayers first, and not just overrun our green areas and our population density, so that we become more and more urbanized, like the city of Brockton or something like that. And those are the trends I would try to diminish.
Okay, go ahead, Lori.
No, thank you for having me here today. So my name is Lori Jakes, and I have lived in Stoughton for just over the last 13 years. I currently have 2 daughters who are in Stoughton Public Schools. They attend South Elementary School, where they're in 2nd and 5th grade. I serve the community through being involved in the PTO. I'm a religious education teacher, and I also volunteer on the 300th anniversary committee. But I'm happy to be here today and to be able to have the time to talk a little bit about myself. Professionally, I'm an associate vice president for alumni relations and annual giving at a university in Boston, where I lead a team of 25 employees, and I'm responsible for engaging a constituency of over 360,000 alumni. In addition to that, I'm responsible for fundraising for the university. Each year, I have a goal of donor participation, and this year it's just over 40,000 people that I'm looking that I need to advocate for the university and serve in that way. I would bring to this position strategic planning, fiscal oversight, collaboration, and relationship building. My involvement in Stoughton politics has been through the advocacy for the new elementary school that just passed. I'm very proud of that project. I advocated for it because I do believe it was in the best decision for this town to go in that direction. And really, I am here because I believe in this community. It's where I decided to raise my family. It's where I plan to spend the rest of our time. I think that what I will bring to this role is a new perspective, and be able to represent a population of this town that isn't as involved and as engaged. And my hope is that we can bring together community and make them more involved in what is going on, make them feel that they have that opportunity. So thank you for having me here today.
Thank you very much.
First of all, I apologize for the phone, but it was coming from Washington, and they said that you got to let it ring, Ed. But anyway, sorry, I am sorry about that. Also, I don't want to upstage the 2 young ladies at the other end of the table, but I've been here 82 years,
We've got a couple years on
which
the
is
edge.
hard. It's funny when you're like 60, you think of all these cliches we were talking about. I'm saying, what are they talking about? But now that I'm there, it's like, But anyway, so I've been involved in the town quite some time. I was on the planning board in 1976 to 80. Then I was on the board of selectmen from 80 to 82. Then spent a lot of years at town meeting and sort of sabbatical for I don't know how many years, and got back into the action last year. One of the things that I feel really good about is I've been a past president of the Stoughton Lions Club, and it's talk about giving back and so forth. We do so much, a lot of stuff people don't even know about. But anyway, so obviously right now I am retired, and to echo a previous speaker, of course with my age I guess I'm a little prejudiced towards the idea we just can tax, no matter what the cost. We can't do anything for less. We want the Cadillac. Well, no, we can do the same thing here with the Chevy. No, not in Stoughton. Not in Stoughton. And the other thing I'm concerned about is the, as you was mentioning, the trash situation and so forth and so on. And so a lot of those button issues, I think we're probably all concerned about. Just my last thing I want to mention is, and I don't want to see this happen in our town, but the town of Easton recently let go all their EMTs. 16 people were let go, and they brought in Brewster Ambulance Company to take over. All this they're doing while they're building a fire station. I think there's a two that they're building down there by the candy shop down there. But anyway, I don't want to see us doing that. And I see, in my mind, I think we're going down that road slowly but surely, and only because a lot of residents have put some bumps in the road. But I suppose we'll talk about that later. But anyway, glad to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you. So some of you have kind of started answering this question, and that's okay. We'll answer it again because I'm interested in what made each of you say, okay, this year, right now, I am pulling papers to run. I would like to in Ed's case, you've been on the select board before,
Yeah.
And what made you say like, oh, now I've got to do it again,
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, a bunch of my friends were encouraging me to go back on the board, and I thought I never would. And so I said no. And they pretty much hounded me. Some of these people out telling me and the rest of my friends. So I said, okay. So and that's kind of why I got back into it. I was having a tough time last year just walking into the meeting for medical reasons. But anyway, and I think it was the first time I was in the new high school, which is a beautiful building, especially inside. So that's about it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're one of Ed's friends, then you can calm down already.
Yeah.
He's running. You can leave him alone. Okay. Lori, go ahead.
For me, it was my involvement in the elementary school project. That project taught me a lot about what is happening in Stoughton. My involvement before then was limited from a political perspective, but what I saw in that project that there was a lot of misinformation that is going on around this town, and I feel that we need to have leaders who are willing to get the facts before they're making their decisions, make sure they're representing the entire population, or at least listening to the entire population and able to build consensus. I was, of course, able to do it with that, but from that time, as I've continued to pay attention to everything that is happening, there are a lot of issues. I agree with what everyone is saying here. But I think we need people who are going to start thinking about the future of Stoughton and where it is going. Again, the school, we got to this point because in the past, decisions were made not to take care of the school, right? That's a town issue. We need to make sure that we are really planning what is going to happen in the future so that the people who come after us are not having to face these decisions.
Fantastic. Bob?
Well, I felt compelled to run, not just because I was prompted like Ed by other persons to consider it, but I've as I said before, I've been concerned about the direction of the town with respect to the development and the nature of the projects, which seem to densify, if that's a word, to coalesce the population into housing units and so forth that really impact emergency services. It impacts our school system. I think what Stoughton needs is more market value-based residential housing. And we don't have a tremendous amount of green space left to even consider development. But if we're looking to expand the residential access or housing for seniors, I think we need to do it with the foresight to keep the culture and character of the town intact. Very often, we are just looking at it from a straight-up revenue point of view, or getting this developer in without considering the broader impact. And so I think that needs to be done now because the trend is in that direction. We've seen it happen in surrounding communities. So if somebody's not there advocating, like we did with the Hebrew Life, it's not going to happen. It's just going to overrun us. So that was number one. And then, like Lori said, with respect to the schools, I think we do need to have long-term planning so we're not caught flat-footed. The South School project was so divisive and polarizing. Whilst it had been kicked down the road for so many decades, the problem was there and it needed to be addressed. We clearly needed a new school. But it still became polarizing because of the sheer expense and the cost and all the other implications of it. So we're looking at another project down the road in the middle school. And the superintendent kicked around a number and he hinted at, it could be $300 million, which is an outrageous amount of money to think about imposing on this community because we have, I think 37% of our community is fixed income seniors. They just can't afford this kind of mortgaging. So we need to do some long-range planning to account for these kind of capital expenditures now so that when it doesn't just sneak up on us and we're in a deal that has got some MSBA funding or whatnot on the hook that we are now tied to. I think that was a lot of the motivation and rationale for people to settle on the school project as presented, because we had this alliance with the MSBA funding and they didn't want to forfeit that and start over. And that's understandable, I get it. But to avoid that kind of scenario, we have to start planning well in advance so that we have the fund for it, and we have the long-range plan for how we're going to manage this, or look at the variety of options that don't put us in a $300 million category. So I think those are the kinds of things that we can't wait another decade to do. It makes it imperative that we start thinking about these things now, and that kind of motivates me to throw my hat in the ring and say, yes, I want to be involved at this stage so that 10 years, 15 years from now, we're not stuck with a crisis that nobody had the brass to step up and say we need to manage this in advance. So that's kind of the thing that got me off the starting blocks.
All right. Mark?
Yeah, thank you. This kind of all started last year. I retired from the city of Pawtucket as a finance director, and I attended some Board of Health meetings at the town because right now there's an application for Win Waste to change the trash. Right now they just take construction and demolition material, which is kind of benign. It's not smelly, and those sort of things. And they want to bring in about 800 tons of municipal solid waste, which is a completely different animal. I mean, it's food waste. There's additional truck traffic. Also, there's a lot of money involved with that. I mean, if there's 800 tons of trash, coming in, that could be worth upwards of, a $20 million contract. And so I attended those meetings because we've had a long-standing agreement with CMAS. We were a founding member of CMAS, and we get the lowest rates, and we haul it down ourselves. And this is speculation. There's talk, serious talk about privatizing those sort of things out. And I can tell you for sure that a private company is not going to get the per ton rate that the town of Stoughton is going to get under CMAS. It's not going to happen. And also, my understanding is Wind Waste currently moves most of their trash by rail to Ohio, which I don't consider a long-term plan. I agree with you in the long-term plan. Issue is that boards come and go, and it's difficult to maintain that sort of fiscal discipline going on. I do have, experience. I was here when IKEA came into town. Target, TGI Friday, Smoky Bones, Stone Tool and Die, those sort of things, when the MWRA opened up some water and we had some extra capacity so we could do some commercial development. And as far as folks talking to people, I'm a little skeptical nowadays with the height of social media and its impact on decision making. It's very difficult to rule or govern a town based upon who yells the loudest and who fills up the room. That may not be your best option. How do you get people out? Very, very difficult. They're very busy. But there are alternatives as to, professional polling that can get a statistically accurate based by area, socioeconomic status, people's race, ethnicity, education levels. That might be able to provide a more valuable gauge as where the community wants to go, rather than just for waiting for people to call you. Because they're calling you, they've already got an agenda, and it's usually something very dear to them that they want. And I'll yield some time because I could keep going, but other people need to talk.
Thanks. The reason why I'm running is because I don't like the direction that the town is going in. And I feel that as soon as we get money coming in, the money's going out. And then it's like, oh, we have to cut. I'm here to save jobs. I don't like what's going on with the trash. And years ago, before Mr. Stankiewicz was the town manager here in Stoughton, a gentleman by the name of Larry Barrett, the late Larry Barrett, great guy, Larry got a deal for the town of Stoughton with CMAS for the trash. And I want to know when that contract's up, because I don't think that Wind Waste is the way to go. I think we need to keep our trash the way it is. It's a very sensitive subject, and I'm here to save jobs I don't want to see cut. I also want to be very transparent. If you have something that you want to ask me, ask me. Social media is really ruining everybody. No matter what, there will always, the 7 of us, we're going to be talked about. The 7 of us are going to have comments made on social media about this forum. And that's fine. I'm not the type to engage. If you want to say you love me, great. If you want to say you hate my guts, okay, that's your opinion. But I'm very civic-minded. I've been with I was with the town of Stoughton for 27 years, and then I left and worked in Norwell, which is a very affluent town. And you would think that they have money. I mean, their houses are assessed for $1 million plus, but everyone is in the constraints of they need new buildings, they need new schools. And I've seen it in my town, obviously Stoughton. I've seen it in Norwell, and I'm seeing it in East Bridgewater, where I work now. And I just think that you have to maintain buildings. I think that if we were going to do a school, I think that it should have been the middle school first before the south, only because the whole town gets use of that building. And I'm concerned that with the new school, everyone's going to want their kid to go to it, because I'd want to go to a new school. But I heard Dr. Beit-Aharon at a school board meeting saying that there was going to be redistricting. And I really think that that's going to cause a lot of chaos, because the South School was built for the South area of Stoughton. It was a neighborhood school. And to me, I like that. But I really think that it should have been the middle school first, because more of the community would use it. And I know the budget. I know where there's fat on that budget, and I know where it's very lean. And if we want to make our town go forward, this is one thing Stoughton does. They always put the cart before the horse. You need to stop looking backwards, look at what we have in front of us, and see if we can correct it. And I would urge everybody to go to that February 11th meeting regarding the trash, because it's going to be crazy. I want to be able to throw out my trash. I don't want to have to squish everything into a bucket and have one driver come and pick it up. And you know what I mean? We pay for our trash. We agreed to that. You know, if there's going to want to throw out a bureau, we're paying for that. If we go the other way, we might not have that option. And then where do you get rid of the stuff? So again, transparency, affordability for our seniors, because you want people to stay in Stoughton. Laurie came here, lives here for 13 years, wants to continue to live here. But if we keep taxing people of all ages, especially our seniors, they're not going to live here, and Stoughton's going to go down the drain. Thanks.
Thank you, Noah, for that question. Deborah Roberts, I'm all in. I've lived here 40 years. My spouse was a Stoughton law enforcement officer. My son worked at DPW when he was going through college. I have an MBA, Master's of Business Administration from Northeastern University with a concentration in finance. I have other graduate certificates. They teach you the principles of long-term planning, strategic planning, compliance. I was an underwriter and director of finance. I know money. I have a background in real estate. That is capital project planning. You have to plan out for what you want. Now, going back to me personally, that is the educational piece, but me personally, I am vested in modernization, but our cultural legacy. Stoughton was so welcoming to me and my family. We could talk about other ethnicities too. I'm African American. I am part Blackfoot and Arawak Indian. I know what it's like to be underserved. Stoughton has helped me and my family have a good footing, just like they did with the Irish and the Portuguese. Stoughton is a welcoming community. They have a solid footing, and they will give you an opportunity. And that is the reason I'm really running for re-election to the Town of Stoughton Select Board, because I love you and I'm vested. When we talk about real estate taxes, it's made up of two components: the real estate rate and the real estate property value. I was the one that voted in favor of reducing the residential property rate for the last 6 years. The valuation of the property is really beyond my control. But what I control, I can do for you, and I intend to do for you because I speak for you. I'm also recently reelected to the Massachusetts Select Board Association, which is a leadership role over 1,200 select board members throughout the Commonwealth. They trusted me. You have trusted me. That's why I'm running for re-election, because it's all about the planning. It's about affordability. Can we afford it? If we cannot afford it, I won't vote for it. I am with you. I'm a reasonably prudent person. I work hard for a living and to live in Stoughton. I look after the senior citizens. I look after the young. I was on board when we worked collaboratively with the school committee. The school committee and the select board have worked collaboratively together because we both know how expensive things are getting. And when we start seeing these cuts, we say, hey, let's hunker down. Let's work together. So it's about working together collaboratively. And it's about all looking for opportunities. When we talked about building the new South Elementary School, we worked with like Lori and her leadership team to find resources. And then what did we say as a select board, as a group, as a current select board membership? We said, hey, there's some funding that's left over from the building of the new Stoughton High School. Well, that funding will go toward the pay down of the new South Elementary School. When the South Elementary School and the Jones School is no longer in use, those buildings, which means that's money to us in terms of everything, if you want to know. That is in the care, custody, and control of the Stoughton Select Board. We have an agreement that money, when those properties are sold, they will be used to buy down on that debt. We hear you, Stoughton residents. It's expensive everywhere, but guess what? We are in a good position. We have our eye on the ball, and we're not facing the challenges that some of our other surrounding towns are facing, like debt overrides, and we have to lay off police officers and fire all those first-time responders. We are in a good place. Finance background, that's the reason I'm running. I have a finance background, over 25 years in finance and in underwriting, which means I look at the details. I look at protocols. I write policy to make sure we stay compliant and we follow through. I could go on and on like some of the other past speakers have said, but I want this to be recognized that I'm with you, I listen to you, you know I have listened to you all along, because there's some brilliant minds in Stoughton, and we appreciate your conversations and your collaboration with us. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much. I wanted to ask, because everybody has our own social spheres where people come to us and they talk to us because they're our friends or they know us from wherever, from the PTO or from the whatever clubs we're part of and so on. And I'm curious as to how each of you plans to, briefly, to go beyond your current social reach to find out what people who are not already in your social circles are interested in and what they need. Because as Mark was saying, Facebook is not always the best place to go if you want to know what most people care about. It's certainly a good place to go if you want to know what some people care a lot about. But when you're looking at representing a town of nearly 30,000 people, hearing from 100 people sounds like it's a tremendous, upswell of energy towards something, but it's a tiny fraction. So how do you reach out to constituencies that you're not already part of? And I'm going to go this way, starting with Bob.
Well, it's an interesting question, and I think one of the most fruitful forums, if you will, that I've discovered is in front of the supermarkets. There's many times when I've been out there collecting signatures for petitions and doing things and striking up conversations with absolute strangers. Now, many times you run into people that are not Stoughtonites that for some reason are shopping at Stoughton supermarkets and whatnot. But very often I encounter people that are residents and share both like and unlike values or points of view, and it's interesting the discussions we've had. And I find this especially valuable because these people tend to be outliers. They're not politically involved. They're not activists in the town. They just happen to be doing their shopping.
Yeah.
So you're getting a very candid view at kind of the pulse of where people are at. And surprisingly, I find people are more astute and more aware of issues than I would have given them credit for. Oftentimes, you do find people that are not interested in being involved in any way, and they prefer to keep the blinders on, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. But I like being out and about in random places and having those conversations, and that can happen at other venues like Stoughton Day, or these things where you bring together the community in a non-threatening way. You're just there to have fun, and maybe you have a table. I've done that, and you get in these conversations. But there's other, more formal structures. You can go visit nursing homes. You can do all those things. But for me, it's the candid conversations that just happen on the street.
Okay. And Lori, also.
Same
briefly,
question.
keeping on the time.
I would ultimately say very similar things. I think you need to get out. You need to talk to the community. And that does start with your network. It starts with your network, but then it goes to their networks, and it's hearing what is happening. I did a lot of advocacy. I spent the last, year and a half talking to people, learning what matters to them, why they don't, I don't want to say don't care, why they're making decisions that they're making. So I think it's important. You need to get out and you need to be visible at events. I completely agree with that. You need to expand your networks, make phone calls, knock on doors, obviously, for this. But I think from my perspective, I deal with a part of the community that is not very involved. They're involved in their families, they're involved with what's happening in their lives, but they don't know what is happening in this town. And that's one of the ways that I have been able to bring people together, is by making sure that they are aware of what is going on, and so that they are getting more involved. But again, my job, I am responsible for building relationships. That's what I do every single day. I talk to people, I talk to my alumni, I talk to people throughout the university. So that's really it. It's that old-fashioned way. Social media, I think social media gives you a pulse. That's what it does. You know what is important. We all can sit here and say we know the trash is important to this town. If you're not talking to people, you're not going to learn that. But I think that you need to actually go out there and don't assume that you know what is happening, but really just connect.
Very good. Ed?
Yeah, I think another great place to get information what people think is at the local coffee shops. Because you'd be surprised how many people go in and out of those shops. We've got at least 3 I could talk to about right now, and all 3 are doing pretty well. And they, I know I go to one in particular mostly, and there's always people coming in. Either they're mad about their taxes, they're mad, and sometimes those are good conversations to get into, because now you got to try and calm this lady down and say, well, whatever, and then you end up having a great conversation, and some of the people are from out of town, even at these shops, but there's always people talking about the town, what they don't like. Unfortunately, more that they don't like than they do like. And people are really concerned about the taxes. One thing I just want to pick up on, we mentioned the old school that we just recently, we put millions of dollars into that building for the school because they wanted to have a separate area building for the faculty or whatever like that, or the people operating the school, including the superintendent. I take that as a real insult to even consider doing that, and then thinking about just selling that property. We put a lot of money into that building. I remember just to bring in, when we had to bring in the power, the electricity, it cost us a fortune because there's so many rules and regulations they had to comply with to get it in there to power up for what was coming. But, to me, that's ridiculous. I think we can't keep moving the administration from building to building because they want to be separate. I think is wrong, and especially when you're spending so much money to do it. If we do that, I think the town should commit to converting those buildings into elderly housing. You could get, I don't know how many units you get, but you get a lot of units there, and they're close to the square. The older people will walk to the square for a salon or a barber shop or whatever. And those are the other things that kind of interacted. The square is, I don't know, it's been this way like since I can remember. That's a long time.
I do want to keep us mindful of the time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I would just say that would
minutes
also
per
help
person at this point.
the people in downtown, maybe help the square develop. But, as I said, I'm 82 years old, and I have never seen that I can think of much that the town of Stoughton has done for elderly. We haven't built anything. Now, we can go out and spend millions of dollars on building that, but we've never, that I can remember, and I could be wrong, because I am getting old, so could be wrong, but I can't remember that we've ever gone out and said, we're going to put up some elderly housing. No. And we all say, we'd like to help you people, and if you can't afford the taxes, so-and-so that told me this, you should move out of town. And I got pissed, and I said to him, hey, I've been here 80 years. Why don't you move out of town? Yeah. But anyway.
Okay. I'm going to come back around this way, try to keep the answers brief. And again, the question was about how we find constituencies outside of the ones we belong to hear from. Deborah, why don't you start?
Thank you, Noah. So the question is, how do we engage constituents that are outside of our network? Well, that's communication, that's community engagement. And what I do personally, one is provide information that I think that they would need. So I have a cable show here at SMAC. It's called Welcome to Our Town, that is bringing, like most recently, I had the state treasurer come and share information about things that would be of interest to Stoughton residents. Number two, update the website, the Town of Stoughton website. Provide factual information of what's going on and make sure you are accessible. That means have your picture on the website so the residents know what you look like. Have a means for them to contact you by your telephone number or by your email address. So that is two. Next, you can't sit behind a desk all the time. You have to be out in the community going to events. So recently we had the 300th committee event, we had the MOK event, we have the Portuguese Festival, we have the Juneteenth event, we have Stoughton Day. Be out there so citizens know you are working for them and what the issues are, because what they think may be an issue is not a true issue. It might be just something that's stirring, just a conversation that's bubbling up, but it's really not an issue if they know the facts, and facts are friendly. So I'm out there meeting everyone. Everyone, I think by this time, know that I have a reputation of being easy to talk with. Actually, it was one citizen that just came to me and she says, Deborah, even if you're passionate about something, you have a calm demeanor. Well, yeah, and I also was one of the ones who led the charge on a code of conduct and ethics policy, which is one of the primary focuses of a select board member. Write policies. So you write policies so people know where you're coming from. Approach me, ask the question, what are the facts? Facts are friendly.
All right, thank you very much. Stephanie.
Thanks, Noah. I talk to everybody. Everybody knows me. I'm very approachable, but I will pledge if I am elected to this board there's going to be changes. We are policymakers, and you need to be a strong select board. I want to work with people at the schools because I'm tired of the war on Pearl Street. One here, one here. We have to stop thinking of the town as the town side and the school side. It's never going to be like this, but we need to all work together. I don't know everybody at the school. People know me. The people that I know, some of them have retired, but I'm always out there talking to people. People know me. They know my husband. I own B&C Construction. I am very approachable. I have a phone number. Call me. What I want to do is to talk to other people. Is like I want to have, go to Stoughton Day, do all the stuff that I don't have children right now, but I did go through Stoughton. I shouldn't say that. I'm 60 years old. I'm not having children. But I want to work with the schools, the school committee, and help them and kind of just make everything go like this. At least get a little closer. And I go to all the events. Please, anyone, you want me to help you in something that you're doing, whether it's the 300th or I did work on the 250th. I'm dating myself. But honestly, anything, I'm very approachable. And I will be out there even more now.
Oh, thank you. All the avenues that the people have spoken about at this table are great, and they get out into the community. The one thing that it doesn't do, it doesn't get you out of your silo, and it doesn't get you to aggregate that information so you get a better picture of the full community on how deep, how resonant these sort of things are. I did work in the town, and what we did is the company happened to be National Research Group. We commissioned them to go out and do a baseline survey of the community. What do you like about the community? What don't you like the community? And what do you want to have it, how do you want to see move forward? And the key of it is if you can do those periodically, you can get a baseline of the community, and you can get some long-term ideas as to where you want to go. And if you want to drill in even deeper, you can take a subset of some of those groups that represent certain precincts, areas of town, socioeconomic, racial backgrounds, and if they're willing, you can even use them as a subgroup. So if you want to pop out quick questions that you don't have time for a big survey, but you want to know what the general feeling is, you can pop those out and get those very, very quickly. It's very powerful, but more importantly, rather than speaking to someone and having anecdotal information, you have it aggregated into a form that is at least more reliable. It's just like taking a national poll. It's within 4 or 5% or better, depending on how many groups you have. We started that, and it did help bringing, at that point, the council as to, maybe this isn't what the whole community thinks.
Yeah.
We have a portion of the community that's very passionate about this, but it's really not the whole community, and we do need to spread our resources and our attention on other areas that they hadn't really thought about before. And it's you do have to pay for it, but it is, I think, gives you a more accurate picture as to where you are and where you want to go.
All right, thank you very much. I want to thank all of our candidates. I know we did not have time to go into debate. We did not have time to go into back and forths. But this is an introductory meeting, so I hope that our viewers can know a little bit about each of you. And I want to remind our viewers that although the general election is in the spring, the day of the preliminary election, where we will narrow down to 4 candidates, is Tuesday, February 17th, which is coming right up. And starting this Monday the 9th, you can vote early at the town hall. So please go out and vote. It's not up to me who's going to end up on our final ballot. It's up to you. Thank you very much.
Come on, sugar. Woo!